I don't know how to vlog. Uh, hey, I'm Emerson, and I've been on T for 1 week as of yesterday. Um, and obviously there are like little to no changes so far, but I figured I'd talk about my experiences getting the testosterone, as well as socially what's been going on since I started T. Um, so yeah, I got the testosterone through the Planned Parenthood informed consent model. I live in the metro New York area, so I used New York City's Brooklyn Planned Parenthood, and it's the only New York City Planned Parenthood that offers testosterone. It was super easy. I had to meet with a few people. The entire process took like maybe 2 hours from the time my appointment was scheduled to the time I left. First, I met with someone to go over my medical history, which included mental health stuff as well. And then I met with a nurse to draw blood. I met with a social worker to talk about support systems, therapy, psychiatrists, all of that. If my family's supportive, if my friends are supportive. I think she just wanted a gauge of like how my life would be if I transitioned, if I would have support, if it would be dangerous for me to transition. And once I was all cleared, I met with a nurse practitioner who taught me how to do the injections. I had my mom come in at this point. I'm saying so much, I really don't know how to do this. I had my mom come in at this point so she could learn how to set up the needle. I know she wouldn't want to be involved with the shot itself, but I wanted a second, like a security net in case I fucked something up. She could be there to be like, no, you're supposed to do it this way. So my mom came in for that part. She left the room when I gave myself the injection. I had the option of either injecting it myself or having the nurse do it, but I figured I'd rather just do it myself. And I also had the option to continue going and getting the injection through Planned Parenthood until I felt comfortable doing it at home. At first I scheduled an appointment a week later, but after a few days I canceled the appointment because I felt more confident after a few days that I would be able to do it by myself. Did that yesterday, it went fine. It hurt more than the first one, I think because the first time I was just like so excited. I had so much adrenaline that I didn't feel anything. But I remember being at home and being like, fuck, like it didn't hurt last time, what's going on? So it was lots of fun. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, finances. My insurance did not cover this type of visit. So I met with like a financial guy and he was like, oh, so you're a student? And I was like, yeah. He was like, do you have a job? And I said, over the summer I'm a camp counselor, but that's about it right now. And he was like, okay, we'll cover it. I was, what? He's like, yeah, we'll cover it. We'll cover it for a year. And then like in a year, if you're still using our services, we'll just meet again and like reconsider and you'll probably be covered for another year if your situation like continues as it is so far. So I got I met with all the people. I got the testosterone itself and the needles all for $0. The only money that I spent was on transportation to get into the city and out of the city. So that was amazing. I definitely recommend using Planned Parenthood if you're looking for a clinic. Like a lot of times they're booked. If you need the therapy method, or the gatekeeping method, whatever, like you do you. If that's what you need to feel comfortable getting testosterone, by all means do that. But if you are looking for an informed consent model, I highly recommend Planned Parenthood. They were amazing. My mom was worried like, oh, like what if they treat you like a girl? And the first person I met with asked for my name and pronouns, and she put it in the system. And then every time I was called from the lobby, I was called Emerson. Everyone used he, him pronouns. Everyone was super cool talking about it too. When I was with the nurse drawing my blood, I was like, oh, I'm so worried about the shot. I'm worried it's gonna hurt. And she was like, oh, like, do you have piercings or tattoos? And I said, yeah, I have both. And she was like, oh, just think of it like that. You know, like it sucks and it hurts, but it's for something you want. And when she said that, it really like put it in perspective for me, and it helped me worry less about the pain. So that was my experience with Planned Parenthood. Highly recommend it. It was awesome. Can't wait to go back in like 3 months for a checkup visit. So yeah, that's Planned Parenthood. In terms of like changes, mostly I've just been very hungry, very tired. I heard that either you get super energetic or super tired depending on how your system like takes the testosterone. Mine has been taking it in a way that I want to sleep for like 20 hours a day and then just eat for 4 hours. So that's been fun. Just very tired, very, very hungry. Basically the 3 H's. I've also been very overheated all the time. Like, people will feel my head and they'll be like, do you have a fever? And I'm like, no, I'm just on tea. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting sick. Maybe like this is all bullshit. I'm just getting sick. But I really think it's the testosterone. Other stuff is just like not appropriate for family to hear about, so I'm gonna leave that out. What else? Emotionally, I feel a lot better, because there's a big buildup. From the time I made the appointment to the time of the actual appointment, it was only like 3 weeks to a month, so I wasn't on like a huge waiting list. So I really had it lucky. The way I made the appointment was my mom really wanted me to use the therapy method. She's like, I want it to be thorough. I want you to be like in the best hands possible. I want it to like everything to be okay. And I'm 18, so she came home one day from work and I was like, hey mom, guess what? I called Planned Parenthood, like my appointment's on the 30th. And she was like, oh my god, Emerson, like god damn it. But it worked out. She came with me. So yeah. Other changes. I'm pretending my voice is getting lower. That's bullshit. It's not. Maybe I feel more comfortable talking in my lower range. Like, every voice has like, let me see, like a range, you know? And like maybe I just feel more confident talking in my lower range now that I'm on testosterone. It's probably a placebo effect. Singing wise, I do hear a huge difference though. It's much harder to control my higher notes, and I much prefer singing in my lower range than my higher range. Again, it could be just like placebo, but I don't think it is, because I'm having trouble controlling my higher range, whereas I used to have trouble controlling my lower range, and now that's what I can control better. So we'll see. Maybe I'm one of those guys where it just like works super fast. I don't know. Oh, dosage. The nurse practitioner was really awesome. She was like, you know, like, we'll talk about dosage, we'll talk about what you want, what you're worried about, and then we'll figure out what's best for you. And I was saying that I'm going away to school, you know, in late August, and I'd like to not sound like a 12-year-old boy by then. I'd like to be, like, kind of passable, but I also I'm a small person, I'm 5'1", and I don't weigh much, so I was worried about having, like, a very high dose. So she started me on 40, I'm on the same dose for 4 weeks, and then I titrate up. I'm titrating up to 60, I believe, and then at that point, that's when I go back in and we'll reassess and see, like, should I be on a higher dose? Should I stay at 60? Like, and she kept saying, we want the lowest dose possible that you're happy with. So if 60 is good, I'm just going to stay on 60. Like, there's no point pushing it and then having problems if I'm doing well where I am. So now we'll talk about social stuff. Everyone, for the most part, has been very supportive and, like, very excited for me that I'm on testosterone, walking into school, and, like, a bunch of people that, like, I barely know, like, ran up to me and were like, congratulations, like, this is so awesome, just because, like, they knew through my Instagram or whatever. But the questions have been... No one's asked inappropriate questions. And I'm happy that I'm someone that people feel comfortable coming up to and asking questions. But they're never really prefaced. Like, no one's ever like, hey, like, this might be a personal question. Is it okay if, like, we talk about this? Or, like, hey, Em, like, I have a question about trans stuff. Like, is now an okay time? It's just, like, they'll come up to me and be like, oh, are you gonna gain weight because you're hungrier now? And it's just, like, what? Maybe. I don't fucking know. Or, like, I don't know. People will just be like, oh, so, like, are you gonna grow hair? Or, like, are you gonna get taller? Like, and it's all just, like, they're all, like, out of a place of curiosity. I just wish that it would be handled more gently, because if I'm just going about my day and then I'm like bombarded with all these questions about being trans without any warning, it can like get me out of the flow of my day. And also it's I don't want to say it's disrespectful, but at the same time, people just don't realize that transitioning is a personal topic. Like, on the one hand, it's very public because you're physically changing, you're changing your name, you're changing how people address you, you're changing your place. Unfortunately, you're changing your place in society. It shouldn't be that way, but it is that way in my opinion. Relating to the world as a girl and relating to the world as a boy are two different things in this society. So you're changing a lot of things that are very public, but at the same time, it's a very personal issue. It's your body, it's your mind, it's your medical procedure. And having people ask me questions, it's bittersweet because, like I said, I'm happy that people feel comfortable asking me things, but at the same time, I wish they handled it with more care. So those are the main things. This isn't related to testosterone, but like being dead named, I'm running into this like weird thing where most people know that I'm trans, but there are like some groups in the school that still don't know, just they have no way of knowing. Like, and if I'm in a room and someone comes in and calls me my dead name and everyone just like looks around awkwardly, sometimes I'll correct them, sometimes I won't, depends on the situation, but people have questioned me, like, why didn't you correct them? Like, what the fuck? Like, they didn't call you the right name. And it's like, one, it's none of your fucking business why I chose to correct some people, not other people. Like, it's all based on my comfort. Or I've had a friend who dead names me, like, pretty frequently, and she was like, why do you correct me but not her? Because you're my close friend, and I never talked to the other girl ever. And we were, like, in public. I don't want to, like, put someone on the spot. I don't know. It's just a personal thing. So that's something else that, like, I've been out for most of this school year. So most people know. It's just, it happens sometimes. Or if people, like, use the wrong pronouns by accident, like, people just get awkward. People don't know what to do. They look to me and then they judge the decisions that I make. Not that I would want other people to correct someone for me, that I feel like that would make me even more uncomfortable. But it's just something that I have to deal with. And that's mostly it. I'm just glad to be on testosterone. I'm glad to have started the process and be moving in the right direction. I'm excited for the changes, although I don't want to be hyper focused on it. I don't want it to take over my life. I'm just trying to, like, look at it as a way for I can live as myself. And people have said, like, since you changed your name, since you came out, you've seemed so much more free and so much more comfortable and so much more at peace. And I'm looking at testosterone. I don't want to be hyper focused, like, oh my god, like, I'm getting more hair, my voice is getting deeper. Like, although those things are very exciting, I mostly just want to focus on, like, I'm still the same person. I'm just living as my true self. So that's my outlook. To sum it up, people are usually coming from a good place in my experience. They just they're not educated on how to handle the subject. Planned Parenthood is fucking awesome. I highly recommend it. I'm pretending my voice is getting deeper. It's not. And that's it. Also, I forgot. I wrote a poetry book on what it's like to be trans in my experience, what it's like to reclaim both your masculinity and your femininity. And, like, I think as trans men, we often feel a lot of pressure to live up to masculine standards and, like, push down our femininity. And I needed to write in order to reclaim both parts of myself and talk about my fears and, like, my love and just all of that. It's on Etsy. It's $4. I'll put the link in the description, and if you could support me, that would be awesome. I just want to share my story with as many people as possible, and that's it.